Cool. So let's dive into it. How do you actually have a sales conversation? This is powerful if you're starting out. I remember when I was first getting into online business, doing consulting, freelance work, I had no clue how to actually close someone on a sales conversation. In fact, I just used goodwill, trying to be a nice person. And a lot of the times that would work for me, but only after I'd built up a solid amount of goodwill with that person. And fast forward to now, I run a consulting business where we're, doing six figures a year, as well as another business that I have with my business partner. We're doing multiple six figures a year. And all of that is off the back of being able to sell our services to prospective clients. And I want to give a big shout out to some people who've really helped me with my way of looking at sales. The first person I started learning from was Sam Ovens. If you aren't familiar with Sam Ovens, he runs consulting.com. His process is what I'm going to talk through today. It's probably a variation of somebody else's sales process. That was somebody else's sales process. But I want to give credit to the first people that have helped me develop this. And I don't know how to give credit to the people further beyond that. So I'll give credit to who I know, as well as I want to give a huge shout out to Alex Hormozi, who with his books, Gym Launch and $100 Million Offers, taught me a ton about sales, as well as watching guys and reading books, I should say, like The Wolf of Wall Street by Jordan Belfort as well. Pros and cons to all of them, but I think having a framework is really powerful. And the first thing is there a perfect sales script? I want to tell you that there's not a perfect sales script unless you are a robot and you are working with robots. I'm going to guess most of you are not selling to robots. So at that point, a script is powerful, it's useful. However, it is not ideal. And why? Because humans don't respond to pretty much inputs or outputs. They need to be heard and they need to be listened to. And they need to have engagement back and forth. And so I want to walk through, as Sam Ovens would call this, consultative selling. Other people have terms for it, but I just want to give you a framework, which is how do we establish a gap for a prospect, meaning they're at a certain place now, they want to get to a place, and that's why they're reaching out to you. They want to get to a place that they're currently at now, and we're going to help them see that there's a gap, and we're going to ask them if they know how to solve the problem. If they don't, you're going to listen. You're going to openly tell them whether or not you can help them or not. And if you can, you're going to make your offer. So let's dive into this. If you have a notepad, if you're wanting to break this out, we're going to break this into steps. And how a sales conversation goes is, first, you want to put yourself into state. What I mean by that is you want to be calm, collected, feel in control of the conversation. Sales is like a dance. If you are not leading the dance, then your prospect feels compelled to have to lead. And this usually leads to them asking questions that don't even make sense towards what the end goal is of this conversation. This is when they start drilling you with questions, and you might find yourself in sales conversations like, oh, I just feel like I'm losing control. The reality is it's because we're not setting a tone and agenda for what's going to happen on the call, and we're not actually taking control of the sales conversation. We're not leading the dance. So how do you do that? How do you actually take control of the conversation? How do you lead in the dance? I'm going to show you the way that we do this while still 80% of the time asking questions and not even speaking about our program, our service, or our offer. Cool. So let's go through the framework here of how do we break down a sales conversation. Step one, we build rapport. So over the first few minutes of a call, we act like humans and we treat people like humans. Hey, Jim, how are you doing? Hey, great. Thanks so much for taking this call. I really appreciate it. How's your day going? How's, where again are you in the country? You're in Denver. Oh my gosh. Hey, it's September. Has it started snowing yet? What's the weather like? Oh my gosh. Like, hey, have you been able to go anywhere with your family? We're just being humans. We're talking, we're getting to know one another. I'm being genuinely interested in their life, looking for anything that's like, hey, maybe we have something in common, or maybe we don't, but I'm just trying to treat them as a human. At some point in rapport, usually within 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes it can go a little longer, but usually within 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to try to take control and set the agenda of the call. Hey, Jim, thanks so much for, hey, that's so great, Jim. By the way, I want to be respectful of your time. It's a line I like to use. So I want to make sure we get really clear on what we're going to accomplish in this call. Here's how I run these calls and love for these calls to go. I've got a series of questions I'd love to ask you about your business to learn more about you and what your goals are. I'd love to learn about where you want to get to in your business, sort of what your aims are, what you're trying to accomplish. And then lastly, if I can help you, I'd love to let you know what it looks like to work together. And if I can't help you, I'd love to provide you the resources if I have them or refer you to somebody who can help you. Does that sound fair? Alex Hormozi is a big fan of, does that sound fair? So I like to say that. It's a little way to ask for permission to move forward in agreement of how we're going to handle this call. I've yet to have somebody say, no, I'm not okay with that. So if that happens, maybe you just hang up the call, politely end the call. For almost every single call I've had, people have said yes, and they know they're coming on the call for that reason. So we've set the agenda. That is how it's going to go. Then we start into what's called discovery, right? Assessing someone's current painful situation. I really want them to address whether or not their situation is painful or not. I'm not trying to make it painful. I'm trying to determine if it is painful or not. So, hey, Jim, you want to get on this call for a specific reason. Obviously, you have a business and you're working on X thing. Tell me what you've tried so far about X thing. Well, we've been doing this, and I'm just listening. I'm listening for all they've done before. I'm not looking to provide solutions. I'm not looking to tell someone what's right or wrong. I'm just listening for what they've tried so far. Great. Hey, how's that been going? How's it been working? Has it not been working? Well, some of it's been working, some of it hasn't been working. Cool. Great. Hey, well, what have you liked about it? What haven't you liked about it? What's making you feel like you need to reach out now? Where are you currently at in your business? Oh, awesome. Great. How much are you doing a month right now? Or how big of a problem is this for you? Hey, in terms of like lists of priorities right now to solve this problem, would you say it's on the lower end or on the high end? Or is it even maybe the highest thing on your priority list to accomplish? I'm taking in all this information to find out how painful is their current situation. If it's not painful, it's gonna be really difficult for me to sell whatever we're offering to this person. And that's at some point, I'll just probably say, hey, sounds like you got this figured out. Doesn't sound like it's that big of a problem. And honestly, I don't think that we'd be a great fit. We like to work with people who are committed and really want to solve this problem. Doesn't sound like that's you. And hey, that's great. Sounds like you have a plan. So I would recommend following through with the plan. So I'm assessing the current situation. Then I'm going to repeat back to them after they've said it all. I'm going to repeat back what I've heard from them in my own words to make sure that I've understood them, and I leave room for any clarification if need be. So second, I'm going to go, hey, that's great. So I've really understood where you're at. Tell me about where you want to get to. What's the goal here? Where are we trying to get to? You said you're at X amount per month. Are you trying to get to Y amount a month? Would that be the goal? Is the goal that you have X thing, that you do this? What are we trying to achieve here? And so I'm setting the future pace, which is like, hey, where do you want to be in the future? What would that be like? And then I'm going to start asking personal questions, a little more personal questions of what would that do for your life? Like, hey, why is it so important to get to Y? What does that do for you? Surely just having X number more dollars in your bank account, would be great, but like, what does that do for you? Is there a reason behind it? Is there a big drive? Why do you want to do that? And I'm going to listen to them. And again, I'm going to keep diving into why it's important. And after I've found that out, I'm going to actually reply back to them. I'm going to repeat back to them what I've heard in my own terms, and then leave things open for clarification. Is that right? Did I hear you okay? Cool, great. Or no, oh, I must have missed that. Oh, sorry. Can I ask you another question about that? You continue until you've clarified where it is exactly they want to go. So at this point, you've established where they're at, and you've also established where they want to get to. And if you've done your questioning correctly, you'll realize that there is a gap, meaning they're at a current place and they want to get to another current place. And there's obviously a gap between them. And one of my favorite questions to ask at this point is, what do you think is holding you back from getting there on your own? What's been keeping you from achieving this goal on your own? Because otherwise they likely wouldn't be talking to you if they already knew everything to do. And if they did, honestly, the point of the sales call at that point might be to go, yep, you know everything you need to do. And either you need to go do it, or we need to talk about an accountability plan. And maybe that's what you're selling them on, just holding them accountable to do the thing they need to do, which at times that's totally fine. Honestly, that's what a lot of like fitness is, health goals. A lot of people know what to do deep down. They just need someone to hold them accountable to do it. So after you're going to listen to what they say. What do they think is holding them back from achieving this on their own, to getting to that future place that they'd like to get to? And once you've heard that, you're going to repeat everything back to them again. So you're going to say, hey, great. So I just want to make sure I've understood you're here. You want to get to here, and you feel like the thing that's holding you back from getting there on your own is this thing. Did I hear you right? And I'm going to leave it open for clarification. Assuming they say yeah, and we've heard them correctly, you're going to actually just sit for a second and think, can I help this person or not? Does my offer solve this problem or not? If your offer does not solve the problem, you honestly shouldn't sell to this person. There are some people out there who would tell you need to sell. I honestly think the best thing you can do is refer them to somebody who can help them, provide resources that you know could help them, or be honest with them and say, hey, great, so sorry there was a miscommunication. I really thought I would be the person to help you. After hearing what you've said, I don't think I'm the person to help you get to where you want to go. I'd love to go ask around if I can find someone who might be able to accomplish that for you. Does that sound okay? Great. If you do, though, if you feel like your offer, your service, your product can actually solve the problem, you should feel compelled to want to tell them how you can help them. So how I move forward with the sales call is, hey, great. Actually, after hearing you, Jim, it sounds like I actually think our product, program, or service would be a perfect fit for what you want to do. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit how we work with people? Again, I'm asking for permission to move forward. If for some reason they were to say no, go, hey, sorry, it sounds like, had a great therapy session to talk about your business. Sounds like you're not ready to move forward. Great. You could challenge them. You could go into that. For this sake of just having a simple framework, we're going to assume that they say yes. Otherwise, why would they be here? They do want to hear about how you can help people. And you're going to tell people how you work with them in a compelling way. So you're going to let people know how your product service helps them. And you're going to ask them, like, does that sound like exactly what you need? And if they say yes, awesome. They'll typically go, what's the price? If not, you go, great. Well, it's a one-time investment of blank. And then you be quiet. You let them think about it. And you're just going to wait until they give you a response. If they have objections, then you'll want to work on overcoming objections. That'll be a different video on how we overcome objections. In this case, we're not going to go so far into overcoming objections because that would take an entire other video. I want you to have a framework, but know that if you get to that point, then you're pretty much into the sale. You just have to be able to help start overcoming objections. For the sake of this call, I just want you to have a framework of how to even get to the point where you hit objections and have that sales framework. So let's recap. You're going to start with rapport. You're going to set the agenda for the rest of the call. You're going to go into discovery, talking about their current pains and how painful it is. You're going to go into future pace, talking about where they want to get to and why. At 5, you're going to establish the gap. And you're going to say, hey, what's been holding you back from doing this on your own? You're going to listen to that. You're going to repeat and confirm that step 6 and clarify that you've heard them correctly. Step 7, you're going to come to a decision. Do you think you can help them or not? Then you're going to go 7A. If you can't help them, you're going to refer. You're going to be honest with them that you can't help them, that you're not the person to help them. Or 7B, which is, yes, I can. And you're going to make your offer. And then 8 would be overcoming any objections. 9 would be enrolling them into the program. Obviously for 8, the objection piece will go into a separate video. But for this, I wanted to give you a simple sales call framework so you can have the chance of closing more sales and ultimately feeling more confident on your sales conversations. If you've enjoyed this, I'd love for you to do me a huge favor, hit the like button and feel free and please subscribe to the channel if you feel like you're getting value. And I can't wait to see you on the next episode.